anchoring. First of all, I'd just like to differentiate between anchoring and mindfulness of breathing. So you can use the breath, or you can use any physical object. The thumbs touching is a good one because it's quite a subtle, relatively continuous sensation. The breath is a good one for obvious reasons. But what you can do, what I often find myself doing sometimes, is defaulting to become too focused on the breath. So my awareness can tend to close in around it. So I'd just like to make sure that we're clear that it's not, when we use the breath as an anchoring, we're not, in this particular practice anyway, not using it as a concentration. You're not trying to become one-pointed in any way. Yeah, in fact, the opposite, as it were. So the breath in this way, if we're using the breath or the thumbs touching, is to, in a sense, use it as a crutch, or as a reminder, so that for as long as you notice that the breath is present, you can then use the breath to, as it were, to look around the mind with a sense of stability. So the breath is there to remind you, not to become concentrated on, as a reminder that awareness is present. Yeah. So if you forget the breath, it's likely that the mind is becoming absorbed in a particular object, or what we would normally think of as a distraction or a hindrance, or even becoming concentrated on a pleasant sensation or experience. So with this, in the sort of Analayo often refers to it as a way of practicing, and his whole book, the Anapanasati, touches on this. Well, more than touches on it. Although he takes it through the 16 stages, and we're not doing that here. So it's more sort of having the breath, having a percentage of one's attention, so that one is inclining the awareness to the breath. The sutta says maintaining awareness of the breath, specifically, what's the wording it uses? To the extent necessary for the continuity of awareness. Yeah, to the extent necessary, so no more than that. So you're not trying to put the mind into the breath or the attention into the breath. It's almost like you're just touching the breath with awareness continuously for a set period. And we could try it for the whole set period, or just for 5 or 10 minutes. But just touching awareness on the breath, and as it were, from that perspective, noticing what the mind is doing. Yeah, noticing the sounds that are arising, the other bodily sensations that are arising, the thoughts, the images, the notions, the feelings. So it's a bit of multitask in a way, that awareness is staying with the breath and everything else. Yeah. And from that, it's then more easy to start to see, to notice right view, if right view is present. Yeah. So if right view is present, you will notice that things arise and pass away without necessarily consciously looking for that. Yeah. The breath provides the continuity only. Yeah. And the awareness then looks around at what the mind is doing. So what thoughts are arising, sensations are arising, sounds are arising, but we also notice that they're passing away, because part of the attention is on the breath. It allows that, it facilitates that noticing of the lakshana of impermanence, and with that the lakshana of no self. If craving and aversion are present and we see that, then we also see the arising of dukkha with it, potentially. So let's sit and decide what you're going to use, whether you're going to use the thumbs or the breath. It is actually possible to use both because it doesn't really, the object is not important. It's the continuity of very, very light noticing of that sensation on a continuous basis to notice everything else. Yeah. If you find yourself becoming too absorbed and concentrated, then you can just drop the breath or the thumbs and then just let your mind notice what is making itself known to awareness.